All right.
Hey guys, how's it going out there in live stream land? Welcome to an all new podcast of wonderfulness. Anyways, so welcome to the MC Bleeding Edge, folks out there in Cyberland. Of course, I have my trusty co-host, Mr. Jeff Sloboda here, and then of course we are here with Alexis, who is the owner-operator of Honeysuckle Rose Creations, and she also is a frequent guest on a podcast, and if she'd like to plug that, of course, later on, most definitely do so.
You got
And
it.
and also we have Mr. Arch joining us again from the great podcast Champions, and also you can find him and the great website of Sakar, where you can talk about anything, Marvel, DCU, whatever you like, and you can find a lot of great people on there. So yeah, definitely check that out. So of course, this awesome episode, we're going to be talking about the newest episode of Loki episode 4, which is known as the Nexus event. So, guys, starting with Alexis, what did you guys think about the intro to this episode?
Kind of terrifying, actually. Can you imagine being a child just being grabbed and interrogated like that? I mean, obviously, Sylvie is a little bit more resourceful as an Asgardian, but if that was me, I would have been crying. I would have been just sobbing the whole time. Like, I don't understand. I want to go home.
Very much so, very much so. What do you think, Arch? Can you hear us, Arch?
Did we lose your audio, Arch?
I think we lost your audio, Arch.
Oh, sorry. Am I good now?
Yeah,
You're good. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened there. My bad, guys.
good.
No, I was really excited for it. Like right off the bat, it was. I guess it wasn't surprising, but I'd had this idea that maybe something else was going on with Sylvie. I wasn't quite sure, but I'm really happy to like get some sort of backstory for her. You know what? At first, I thought, okay, this is taking place in sort of. She's just a pure alternate reality Loki, and this is taking place sometime along the same timeline. Loki, the Loki we know grew up. But I don't know. We might not know that. There's some things we'll talk about later in the episode where I thought maybe this might be happening in a slightly different time period. And I'm not really sure, but I thought it was really great, like Alexis said, to like realize this. She was child abducted, and she's grown up, being abducted and on the run her entire life. Like that's extremely traumatic. There's a lot of stuff and a lot of meat would really get into like kind of examining her as a character in that way. But I thought it was fantastic. It was really haunting, and also really cool at the same time to kind of get that backstory and get to know her a bit better.
Most certainly. What did you think, Jeff?
Well, I felt like it definitely kind of, like explained the character a little bit more, which is good. You know what I mean? It was good to kind of like get some more background information to work with in terms of like, Sylvie and her backstory and everything and whatnot. Because I think we're all still trying to kind of figure her out. You know what I mean? Like what her motivations are, like who she really is. And like Arch said, I think there's things we're going to talk about like that happened later on in the episode where we kind of got more of like a better idea of like what her background really is, I mean, I'll just go ahead and put it out there now. Like, obviously she's an ex-TVA employee, which we've talked about that before, that was possibly maybe what was going on. So now we actually have a confirmation that like she really is like, a variant that the TVA picked up and, put on, like the roster or whatever, you know what I mean? And somehow at some point she broke free, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be interested in knowing, and I'm sure we'll probably find out about this in episode 5 or 6. I'd be interested in knowing what it was that allowed her, as opposed to like Owen Wilson and like the other TVA people. Like, I'd be interested in knowing what it was that set her free, that like basically like allowed her to, snap out of that like brainwashing or whatever that the TVA does with their employees. I'd be interested in knowing what it was that actually like where she like, maybe it was because she's a Loki, that she was able to like break free from that trance or whatever that they're in. But I don't want to get too far ahead because there's so much different stuff to unpack from this episode.
Yes, very much so. I mean, even when the beginning scene began and it showed that she was from Asgard and her timeline where she was from when she's a little girl, I thought that was really interesting that this kind of how we were talking before in the last episode, and even episode before that, we were talking about how which timeline or comic book line are is Marvel using, and so this to me kind of confuses that a little bit more, going towards more maybe they are really going with just Lady Loki, and they just happen to throw in the Sylvie a little bit to kind of throw us off the scent, is the kind of feeling I'm getting from it, especially with this huge bit of input that she was born on Asgard, and was, even though she's this variant, she still was born on Asgard and is a Loki. So I think that was kind of interesting how they began that intro there too as well. And I think it's funny, like you were saying, there's a lot of information packed into this episode that is really interesting. I also think it's interesting that that they brought so much info into this episode compared to the last episode, and kind of like thrusted it at us too as well. So like we're kind of like, our minds are kind of blown, away a little bit, going, wow, we barely got anything last episode. Now we got everything on this episode. So it's nice to see them kind of, regain their ground from this last episode to this episode. So that brings me to, we kind of get a little backstory on, Lady Loki. And then we also get kind of our first glimpse of the Timekeepers. So I want to know, what's everyone's thought on when they saw, the first glimpse of the Timekeepers? What was your first thought? Let's start with you, Jeff.
Well, I mean, I called it, I think. Like, I mean, I didn't call the whole thing, but I said a long time ago, I know that, like, you guys remember, Arch, Alexis, like, I said that I didn't think there really were Timekeepers. Like, I thought that they were either, like, not real, or, like, they were, like, they went to a different planet or something, or they died or whatever. Like, who knows? Maybe they were always androids. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. We got some interesting like background noise going on there. I'm not sure what the hell it is. It sounds like there's like a mouse like scratching around or something like that.
Something's going on.
It sounds like somebody's typing or something. Anyways, okay.
So anyway, it sounds like either typing or someone's making coffee.
Well, I already made my coffee, so I mean it can't be me. Here's the evidence. Arch, this is a big coffee, baby.
Yeah. I just muted myself, by the way, and it didn't seem to change anything, so I don't know.
Maybe it's on my end.
Interesting.
Well, either way, we'll figure it out. So, as far as this whole Timekeepers thing goes, I was not surprised at all. I wasn't surprised. I kind of like, as soon as we saw him, I kind of knew something was going on. And I think when it boils down to it, I think that it was on Stereo app. I was on Earth's show that we were listening to, Cyber, that he was talking about Ravonna Renslayer potentially being like the real villain of the show. And at this point now, I feel like that's probably what's going on. Like, she obviously is like the villain of the show.
Yeah, we did. I remember a couple episodes ago, we were talking about that a little bit, and that we were gonna see kind of like, we were saying, oh, there's probably something more to her than it meets the eye, and as we can see, as the episode's gone along, we've seen definitely in this episode, you can definitely see that. So, Alexis, what?
We lost you, Cyber.
Cyber, can't hear you anymore, man.
We can't hear you, Cyber. Check your audio. Sorry, folks. This stuff happens.
Yeah, I think Fandom Podcast Network says it best. The TVA is trying to prevent our broadcast.
Yes. Try your audio, Cyber. Try connecting it and reconnecting it. For some reason, I honestly think that sound might be coming from Cyber.
It's not me. I put the dogs upstairs like you asked me to.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
No problem. They're upstairs in their daddy's office. He's working and playing with them.
It must be nice to have it upstairs.
It has its moments.
If you want, like, I know Cyber's working on that. I was watching on a smaller screen, so I might not have gotten the full view of the timekeepers in their full glory that some of you guys might have. I was watching I actually just saw it on a phone. But my first impression was not that they looked fake, but they looked extraordinarily like alien artificial or something. So I was suspicious at the moment I saw them anyway. And then it kind of got revealed, and I was like, oh wait, what's going on here? I don't know. I mean, Ravonna seems to be the main villain, certainly, of the show, but I still feel like there's something else behind them, in some sort of way. I'm not sure what is exactly.
Is it Kang? You think it's Kang?
It really. So I had two possibilities that I thought were really strong. One of them's Kang. I mean, she's obviously got connections to him. He fits thematically extremely well. I also have this idea that maybe the ultimate villain is a Loki somehow. Like maybe it is some other Loki that's somehow gotten behind all this. I don't know. I mean, that's a little more out there, but I mean, it feels like Ravonna didn't set all this up by herself, right? Probably. So there's probably more to it, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know, Alexis. What do you think?
First of all, it's like, called it. Pay no attention to this man behind the curtain. I called it when we talked the second episode. I knew that this was going to happen. When they threw the sword and the guy's head fell off, I was like, yep, called it. Chuck E. Cheese animatronics.
Yeah.
Although I'm not gonna. There was a joke when Loki asked that who made the TVA. My husband said, "Well, easy. Teddy Roosevelt and the New Deal. Don't you pay attention?" He lived for a while in Tennessee, so every time he sees TVA, all he sees is Tennessee Valley Authority.
Oh, yes, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Cyber, did we get you back, brother?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Okay.
We can now.
Okay. I don't know what happened, but that was weird.
Where were we at?
I have no idea. I unplugged the mic, I restarted the stream, and I still hear that crackling, so I don't know if something's going on with my mic or what, but it's driving me nuts. And I don't know why it would be giving a hard time all of a sudden now, so it's just weird.
These things happen, man. Technical difficulties.
Yeah,
We're not professionals. This happens to us all the time.
Yeah. So, I'm guessing both of you went. Huh?
We're not getting paid? What?
No. No, the checks might bounce.
I don't trust anyone who pays me by check.
I don't blame you.
Okay, so what did I miss with my audio difficulties?
Oh, we were just going around the table just talking about that scene with the timekeepers, basically.
Okay. And so did we talk about Fandom Podcast Network's comment?
No, we did not. I'll go back to the first one.
Yeah, so the Fandom Podcast Network says this show is setting up things for both Doctor Strange and Ant-Man, which I totally agree with that. Most definitely, because there's a lot of the elements of the Quantumanium that are very similar to what's going on in the show.
Absolutely.
And then also they had mentioned you guys each need to take a turn to mute your mic to see if you can pinpoint who's generating that sound. Oh, man. That's
I already
hilarious.
tried muting my audio. Like, here.
I don't hear it anymore.
I don't either.
Well, there was a little bit.
Like, everyone hold
But it's
perfectly
not-
still. Don't play with your mic cords.
Guys, can you hear me?
Now we
Yep.
can.
There's that sound. It's still back.
That's so weird.
Here, you guys want me to mute mine for a second?
Yeah, we can try it.
All right.
Yep.
And we're talking.
And we're talking.
And we're talking.
No, there's still
And
there.
it's still there.
Yeah, I can still hear it.
Maybe it's restream somehow.
Maybe.
And I hate to say it honestly sounds like somebody's hungry and they put their mic next to their stomach.
It's like kind of sounds like a mouse trying to chew through like a wall, kind of to me. Like that's the vibe I get, or it sounds like somebody's typing.
It sounds like static is what it sounds like, and it's like just like constant like.
It's definitely frustrating.
And I just don't get why all of a sudden it would decide, oh, let's have this staticness now.
Yeah, I don't know why Restream would be doing this. I don't really get it.
Yeah.
Why don't we just keep things as brief and quick as we can then, so we don't have to drive anyone else nuts with this background noise.
That's a good idea.
So anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. Oh, Arch left and that sound went away.
Uh-oh. Maybe it was Arch.
Uh-oh, sorry, Arch.
Damn it, Arch. I wonder if Arch can hear the private chat.
I wonder if it actually has something to do, because it's clear that Arch is just using his computer's natural mic. He doesn't have a connection, he doesn't have a microphone plugged in.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Arch, when you disappeared, Arch, we lost the sound.
Oh, okay. I guess it's me. I tell you what, let me log off a little bit. I'll see if I can get a better connection here.
Okay.
All right.
And Fandom Podcast just said, yep, just cleared up.
Yeah, no, I wonder if it does have something to do with the fact that he's using just the computer or the phone's natural mic as opposed to using a headphone.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking it was at first, because when he first was like trying to get his mic to work, that's when it became apparent, and that's what I was thinking that it was probably is. But
I noticed his audio was a little bit crackly to begin with there in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I didn't make the connection right there. Like, oh, well, that sound must be coming from Arch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll come back and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So getting back to the timekeepers, like as soon as they popped up on the screen, I was like literally like, like we get to finally see the timekeepers. I'm like, holy crap. And I just thought that it was like kind of interesting that they just like kind of flashed them a little bit. Didn't really give you a really good look at them, but still gave you like a flash of like, here's the timekeepers. And I thought that was really a clever way of kind of introducing them. And, you know, the one judge gal there being, you know, in there with them and stuff like that. I thought it was kind of interesting.
It was kind of surprising how much the one in the middle looked so much like actually Kang the Conqueror. It was clear that they were using that as an influence, which again leads me to believe that I do like Arch's theory that maybe it is another Loki who's the bad guy behind all of this. That is a really good theory. But part of me is really hoping it's going to be Kang. But again, let me put it this way. The fangirl in me is saying, make it Kang, make him the bad guy. The realistic person, you know, who's trying to be a functioning adult is saying, no, it's going to be another Loki. Marvel, while they do a really good job adding Easter eggs and giving little bits of extra fan service, they are not... they're not a studio that throws in a bunch of extra cameos and characters so that all the comic book readers can go, oh, I was waiting for it. And people who have never read a comic book are going, wait, what the hell? You know, it goes back to that mid-credit scene at the end of Avengers. Even if you didn't know who Thanos was when he showed up in that first scene, they said, you know, to challenge them is to court death. You still felt an intimidating presence, and you got the idea of what to expect from him, you know.
But do you guys feel like at all like maybe there might actually be a situation here where like maybe just because of the pandemic, or like maybe just because of like how we didn't get MCU content for such a long time, like maybe this would be a good time to throw Kang into the mix?
Might be, but the show was made a while ago.
Yeah,
computer screen. I mean, it didn't get released, and we've had so little MCU material just because Marvel and Disney said we want to wait until, you know, people can actually go back to theaters, and yet they're still releasing everything on Disney Premium Plus. So, like I said, it's kind of like the whole thing with everyone expecting Mephisto from WandaVision. As cool as that would have been, it makes a lot more sense that they didn't include Mephisto, because I think a lot of people who are not familiar with the comic books would have been more confused. And Marvel has really strived to be something where fans of the comics and those who have not read the comics can all enjoy it.
Sure.
Yep. Fandom Podcast Network has thrown us a few other comments here. The ones he said, the clues lead to Kang, but Marvel pulls the misdirect very well, which I would agree with. I mean, they've done that quite a few times in several of the TV series and in the movies themselves. And then he also says, if we see Kang at all, will be the stinger at the end of episode 6, which I could see them pulling that at the end, maybe like a little cameo at the end, or something like what they did with at the end of Spider-Man 2, where they had the scroll showing that they were Nick Fury and Maria Hill at the time, and that type of deal. So I could see that happening, and he makes a very valid point. What do you guys think?
Well, I feel like again, I don't know. Like, I think that this is Kyle from Fandom Podcast Network, by the way. What's going on, Kyle? Good to talk to you, man. Kyle actually lives like somewhere close to where I live in Southwest Florida. So hopefully him and I will be able to connect at some point, maybe, and make some content together or whatever. But maybe we'll be able to get him on the show. And I just want to mention that we don't have Perry again tonight, folks. And Perry's actually taking a little bit of a leave of absence. Just because he's kind of got, so he's a little bit overwhelmed right now. He's kind of trying to prioritize things a little bit, like with his band and work and everything like that, and school. So, Perry, we love you, man. We miss you, but yeah, it's good to hear from you, Kyle. And yes, I mean, it's like I was saying, I feel like, I think Kyle's right, and I think that Alexis is right as far as like Marvel with the misdirects. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like they do, like. They like to keep us on our toes. And like, I mean, look at that end credit scene. Like, that came out of nowhere for me, or that mid credit scene. Like, I didn't see that coming at all. Arch had to point that out to me because I pulled one of the biggest amateur MCU mistakes that you should never make.
You turned it off before the credits were over.
Yes, I turned it off because I was doing the same thing as you.
Dude, Shane, you should know better.
I was in the same situation as you. I was watching it right before the show. So, like, I wanted to like get cleaned up and everything before I came on here and stuff. And so I was like, oh, I'll just go ahead and stop it right here. It never even occurred to me that there would be anything in the mid credits. So real quick, Arch pointed it out to me and I jumped on my TV quick before the show and I watched it. So I don't know if I missed like another end credit scene or something like that after that, but no, I feel like, I don't know, for some reason, like, I do think that one thing I can honestly say about the MCU fandom is that when it comes to the comic books and all the information that you can find online about the comic book characters from the Marvel universe and everything like that, I feel like with WandaVision, with Mephisto, for instance, I feel like there was so much buzz about Mephisto before the show, during the show, like, oh, we're going to get Mephisto. Like, oh, and I mean, I thought we were going to get Mephisto. I did. When I saw those storks come out, like, and we're walking around when Wanda had the twins, I was like, that's Mephisto. Like, it has to be. But I feel like when it comes to the fan base of the MCU, I feel like the one thing about MCU fans is they are willing to go and like do their research. Like, they're not afraid to go and figure out like who things are. Like, and I find when I go online and I search stuff on the computer, I see what's popular. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's like kind of like on on the radar. And like, for instance, with Loki, the minute that the whole Enchantress aspect popped up, I noticed on Google that like everybody was Googling Enchantress. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah, Enchantress was trending on Twitter.
Yes, and that's my only point with that. I think it still is too. And like my only point is just that with that,
actually,
I feel like it's possible that with Kang, I want to say that probably a lot of MCU fans out there, like once we found out that Jonathan Majors was going to play Kang in Quantumania, I felt like at that point maybe a lot of the fans actually did go and check out Kang. Like maybe look at the comic books and like see who Kang was. or go online and at least like, look at one of the wikis or something like that. You know what I mean? To figure out who Kang was. So from that perspective, my only opinion with that is just that, like, I think it's possible. Like, I mean, anything could happen. I mean, look, like when Loki died during the show, before I saw the mid credits, I had no clue what the hell was going to happen in episode 5 and 6. I was like, what the hell's going to happen to the series now? Like, we lost our Loki.
For the record, Doctor Strange is trending, but let's see here. Yeah, Enchantress isn't trending right now, but close.
I wonder why Doctor Strange would be trending.
I have no idea.
Because Multitude of Madness is very popular right now. Everybody is cluing into that. That's what a lot of people think that everything is connecting to. So that is very big on Twitter. I haven't seen much. I haven't seen much for Kang. I saw a little bit for Enchantress, but Kang, I have not seen hardly anything. I mean, I've seen people kind of mention it a little bit in articles that they've posted on like Facebook and stuff like that. But for the general purpose of Kang, I have seen very little of Kang. Just what news they brought out about him going to be in Quantumanium.
But a lot of Ravonna Renslayer, though. You do see Ravonna Renslayer popping up when I do the searches and stuff like that. And I feel like when you go and you look at her bio, you can't miss the fact that, like, she's Kang's girlfriend, basically. You know what I mean? Like, it's just right there, So for me, Cyber, I feel like that is, no matter what happens, like, that is that one connection that Marvel put in this series where by using that character, Ravonna Renslayer, the way that they have, I feel like no matter what you do, you can't get around the fact that there is that connection with her and Kang in the comics. And so at that point, there's always going to be that, like Kyle already said in his comments, there's always that, like, feeling in the back of your head, like, that maybe Kang might make a cameo in episode 6.
Very true. Very true. We have another comment. NRG Sexstream. I'm assuming that's how that's pronounced. He's waving, so hello to you. Thanks for commenting.
What's going on?
By. And so moving on from that, we kind of get more into the episode, and there's the kind of the conversation between Loki and Lady Loki, Sylvia, whatever you want to call her, really, because we really at this point, she's kind of an amalgamation of many things. They're having that conversation while, waiting for the planet to be destroyed. And she kind of explains a little bit more about what happened to her. So what are you guys' thoughts on, her explaining that? What do you think, Alexis?
Not 100% certain. I'm sorry, actually, I forgot to mute my phone and I was just turning off a message. Could you repeat the question, please?
So I'm talking about the scene between Loki and Lady Loki, sitting on the planet waiting for it to explode, to be destroyed. I was wondering, what were your thoughts on their conversation about, Lady Loki kind of explaining a little bit more of her backstory for us? What do you think of that?
Well, actually, I was kind of confused what you guys were talking about where you said she used to work for the TVA. That wasn't shown, and I'm just kind of curious where you guys were getting that from, unless that was your discussion from last week's show, which I did not get to participate in.
That was the dialogue between Ravonna and Sylvie during the episode when they were fighting and everything and whatnot. Right, Cyber? Isn't that when they talked about it?
I honestly don't know what you're talking about either, because I don't recall her ever saying that she worked for the TVA. She went there as a child, and then she ran away and then was, living from place to place. So I don't think she ever actually worked for the TVA.
I only saw the episode one time. So maybe it's possible that it's something where I just wanted that to happen or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it felt good for me or whatever.
She stole Ravonna's time pad. And she talks about how she had to keep hopping from place to place until she figured out the trick of hiding in the apocalypses. And again, that's just very unsettling. The idea of this child, growing up on her own, her family is gone. Her timeline's been reset. She cannot return home. And the fact that not only can she not stay in one place for very long before, as she puts it, the smoke flare goes up and they find her, she has to stay in places where the world is ending. And can you just imagine something like that? What that does to a person? The fact that your entire life. I mean, I keep going back to Crisis on Infinite Earths in the DC universe, and oh my God, I can't remember the character's name, but he was cursed to see every world end on behalf of the Monitor, and that again, and this was a fully functioning adult who, was able to figure out what was going on with that and everything, and he still suffered. Imagine a child growing up and watching that. I mean, can you imagine just watching, Pompeii's for the rest of your life? It's horrible.
You know what? Honestly, Alexis, to jump in on what you're talking about, that's kind of interesting that you mentioned Infinite Earths, because, like, think about what I was thinking about was, like, what about Cyborg? Like, how he has those visions and everything where he sees, like, what's going to happen with Darkseid when Darkseid, like, when the mother boxes are connected and Darkseid, like, does his thing to Earth. You know what I mean? Like, he sees those, like, he has those dreams, like, kind of like the ones that Bruce Wayne had. You know what I mean? Like, like those premonitions or whatever. And
well, let's face it, that's called Zack Snyder. For the love of God, calm down.
Yes. I'm actually a little bit irritated right now with HBO Max because I wanted to watch Snyder Cut with my kids last night, and I couldn't watch it because I couldn't get my HBO Max to work. And I spent an hour with customer service.
Was it late at night? I've noticed HBO Max seems to have problems later in the evening when it gets closer to midnight.
It was more like it was probably like 8 p.m. Yeah, it was 8 p.m. And I tried to go on there, and for some reason, every time I kept hitting play on the film, it would just like go back to the title screen and it wouldn't play the movie. So I jumped on my computer and I pulled it up. I pulled up my HBO Max on the computer, and it worked fine on my computer, but it wouldn't work on my TV. So, like, I don't know, it could be my Roku, maybe, like, I'm not sure. But basically, I feel like, that's a good point. I feel like as far as, like, Sylvie goes, or Lady Loki goes, that's got to be really traumatic. Like, that's got to be very, like, PTSD inducing almost to have to live in, like, those catastrophe situations or whatever, where there's, like, possible, like, apocalyptic, stuff going to happen, like, no matter what. Like, you've got to leave every, like 10 minutes before it happens, like, every day. Yeah, like that's got to like seriously put a toll on somebody.
I would say you can't form any kind of connections with anyone because they're about to die. You can't tell these people they're about to die. You can't try to prevent the apocalypse from happening. It's terrifying to think about.
Well, have a good time there, Kyle. Thanks for stopping by and watching the show for what time you could. He basically said, gotta go do some work things. Have a great show, guys. So thank you for stopping by and checking it out. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate you stopping by. But to get back to my question, because we didn't really talk about my question here, people, that I was asking before. What did you guys think about the conversation they had during that climactic scene where the planet was about to explode? Jeff, start with you.
I feel like I'm still trying to grasp, and this is one of those things where my answer also relates to like later on in the show too. I feel like I'm still trying to determine what exactly what kind of dynamic Sylvie and Loki have, because like I really kind of felt like they're with their talking and everything at that point, like at that planet before it was going to be or moon that was going to be dying or whatever. I felt like there was really like some kind of emotional connection there. And then later on in the episode, before Loki was killed or flashed or whatever you want to call it, or like, cold or whatever. Pruned.
Yeah, they call it pruned.
Pruned, yes. I felt like he was about to like do a big reveal and be like, I love you. You know what I mean? Or like, I'm into you or whatever, like, or something like that, which is like really weird because I mean, it would be very like, obviously like awkward if like, Loki was going to like hook up with like Lady Loki. You know what I mean? Like that would be a little, like, what's the word? Like incestual, like, in a way, I guess. So
I do love Mobius's line of it. It's like it's like just the revelation of how narcissistic can you get?
yeah,
Very
that's
much
funny.
so.
It's funny too because I was actually describing Sylvie as a narcissist last night when I was talking about this, like on stereo.
Yep.
You know, like that's exactly what I said about her. I'm like, she's a narcissist. She's arrogant. You know, she's kind of a toxic person in a way. You know what I mean? Like, she's an interesting character. Kyle mentioned earlier that we could potentially maybe see her later in the MCU. Like there could be like a place for her or whatever in the overall scheme of things. I don't know if I really agree with that. I really do kind of feel like Sophia DiMartino is just going to be a product of the Loki series. I don't really feel like she's going to go anywhere else, but I could be wrong.
Yep, could be. You never know. You never know with Marvel. Just like Kyle was saying before, that's what Marvel excels at, is giving you just enough to keep you enticed, and that's pretty much what she could do.
Well, I mean, what are they going to do with season 2? You know what I mean? Like, I think they're filming it right now.
Is there a season? Because they've confirmed that WandaVision will not have a season 2, and they've said that Falcon and Winter Soldier season 2 will not even be discussed until they do the new Captain America movie with
makes sense.
Sam Wilson in the role. So, and again, I think that's down to Kevin Feige doing really good work with the planning of reveals that he does. I mean, my favorite example is this. Everyone was complaining about waiting to see the trailer for Endgame, and we finally realized they can't reveal the trailer for Endgame until it gets close enough that they can reveal the trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home, because you can't reveal one without spoiling the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're going to hold off on revealing if Loki's going to have a season 2 until the end of the season. Again, they're waiting to see how this will all tie into Ant-Man and
no,
to
they
Doctor
confirmed
Strange.
it. Like
They confirmed it already.
They confirmed it already. And season 3, didn't they too, Cyber?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I'm going to look that up. Make sure. I trust you guys. I just want to see this for myself.
Yeah, they confirmed season 2 a while back. Like before they even released the first episode of the series, they confirmed season 2.
And they just recently came out with an article recently, I forget where, saying that the plan is for 3 seasons for this series.
Yeah, so I mean, at that point, what I'm wondering is
second season's in development. Yeah, it doesn't say if they've started filming yet or not, but it is in development. So
yeah, so at that point, maybe we'll see Sylvie like across the seasons of Loki. You know what I mean? Like maybe she'll be like a focal point kind of character like on the series like overall. I'm really glad that they confirmed those seasons because again, like you said, Alexis, we're not going to get WandaVision, season 2. We're probably not going to get Falcon and the Winter Soldier season 2. I don't think. I just don't see it happening. Cyber obviously nods his head and agrees with me on that. So at that point, I guess it's really nice to know that, hey, at least like there is one Disney Plus series where we are going to get like a return from that show and from that character,
Yeah, but again, they may not want to reveal any details about it until Doctor Strange comes out, because again, maybe what they have planned for the second season of Loki might spoil what we see a little bit from the Doctor Strange sequel.
And don't forget, Thor: Love and Thunder is going to include Loki too, so that also could be a spoiler too. So
exactly,
they're not going to tell you everything, but they have confirmed that they are making a second season and that they plan on doing a third season. David R. here in the comments here has said a few things. I think you have to Groundhog Day it in Sylvia's position, which I totally agree with that. Like her having to hop from place to place into these different disaster areas is basically like a Groundhog Day going on, like the Bill Murray film.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with that. And then he brings out another interesting point. In the Nexus event that was occurring between them, seems like they would have found a way to survive or otherwise alter things through their mutual self-love, which basically, reaffirms the whole narcissistic abilities, that Loki has for himself, that he's in love with himself. So that totally, I get where he's coming from there. And then he says, like the sacred timeline can't abide a Loki who finds love, even if that love is extreme narcissism, which I can see there, yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, that's true, most definitely. And then, I think his best comment so far is if Batwoman gets to season 3, Loki's a shoe-in.
Yeah, right.
Especially since they're apparently teasing Poison Ivy for the season 3 of Batwoman.
They're actually going to
Yeah.
do more seasons of Batwoman. Oh my god!
Yeah, I when they announced that they were doing it with Ruby Rose, I had no desire to see it at all. Because I'm sorry, I think she's a horrible actress. I don't care where she's coming from or blah blah blah. She to me just is a horrible actress. I've seen her performed in Orange Is the New Black. I saw her in Meg. I just thought she was a horrible choice to play this character. So when they decided to when she decided to step away and do season 2, and this new gal came in, I thought, okay, maybe this might be I don't know. I haven't watched it yet, but it looks like it's a little better than it was the first season. But yeah, that I totally agree there that if Batwoman can get a third season, so can Loki, most definitely.
See, I actually reviewed the first season of Batwoman, and I thought Ruby Rose was a great choice to play Kate Kane because I really like the idea of this tough, strong woman like her playing it because that is who Kate Kane is. And I thought she did a really good job with it. And I have no qualms with her stepping away from the role. She had a horrible injury. Her neck was, beyond screwed up. She couldn't handle the physical demands of the role. No harm, no foul. But what lost me was the fact that instead of replacing her with another actress, which would have sucked, but it would have been fine, they instead created this new character who wasn't in the comic books. And I'm going to be blunt, it felt like they were hitting a Chekhov's list of everything they wanted this new character to be. She felt very formulaic, and I just looked and I watched her. And I was just like, this doesn't feel like, real comic book, inspired. It feels like it was made by a focus group.
Did they make her gay too?
Oh yeah,
of course. That's the new thing now. With the new trend that shit. In the Marvel Studios, I think they already said that they're going to be making. They already said that they're going to be doing. What's her name? Valkyrie's going to be like a lesbian.
She's bisexual.
She's bisexual, which doesn't surprise me. In fact, in the comics, I think she might even be bisexual. So I can't remember, but and then of course I also heard that they're going to be doing it with Captain Marvel too. She's going to become like bisexual or like a lesbian or whatever.
She was bisexual in the comics.
Yes, that's true. And then of course I'm sure you guys have probably heard that in the comic books they're making Star-Lord gay or bi.
They can't leave him well enough alone, can they?
Well, I don't care. It's just that he's always been straight, so it's kind of weird that all of a sudden he would just but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys read the DC Pride that came out? We reviewed it on the Rattlevision Broadcast Network. It's a really good book.
No, I haven't.
It's really good.
No, but I guess we missed. We never shouted out Pride Month, so or is it still Pride Month?
For another 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Well, there we go. Since we're in that window, shout out to Pride Month and all of our LGBT friendly type of MCU supporters out there. We love you, we respect you, if you're out there and you're one of those bi guys or whatever, do me a favor and leave me alone online, because I'm not gonna the whole you can do this and that with me and you'll still be straight deal. I'm sorry, but that premise doesn't work with me. So but it's okay, just as an aside.
Okay, enough of that. So let's go on. So now, after the planet's just about destroyed, 2 doors open up and Sylvie and Loki are able to walk through and are now back in the TVA. They come back in contact with Mobius. We get to see Mobius again. The whole episode before, we didn't see Mobius at all. And basically, they get put into cells and Loki gets put into basically like a Groundhog Day thing. And who else do we get a cameo from is Lady Sif. Now, we haven't seen Lady Sif since Thor the Dark World. She was not in Thor Ragnarok at all. So it's kind of like everyone's kind of wondering, where has she been? We're supposed to get that answer with Thor Love and Thunder. But what are your guys' thoughts on all of a sudden Lady Sif popping up in this Loki episode? What are your thoughts, Alexis?
Well, apparently, actually, her last appearance was in the MCU short "Who You Really Are" from 2015. But still, it. Oh no, that was an episode of Agents of Shield. Never mind. Sorry, I misread that for a second. Loki going through that time loop actually remind me. Have either of you watched the show Lucifer?
No.
Yes, I have.
Okay, yeah, and you know that in Hell in that series, you are forced to relive your worst memories over and over and over again on continuous loop. That is what Hell is there. That's what that reminded me of. This, the fact that that moment clearly did bother Loki more than he ever really put on. Because, she says it's like you're alone, you always be alone, slap, crotch shot, walks off. And he says, like, well, I remember after this, I took a hot bath and I got a drink. But it keeps happening over and over again. But the idea that that moment probably hit him a lot harder than he's willing to admit. And it takes all those times of it happening over and over again before he finally admits to himself that really did sting when she said that. And I thought that was a really nice touch. It was great seeing the actress who plays Lady Sif come back. Yeah, I have... she's not my favorite character, but I guess it did bug me a little bit that they cut her from Thor Ragnarok, which I think they did because she was signed on to a TV show, and there was a scheduling conflict, if I remember.
That's what David R. just mentioned in the comment.
What was that show that she was on, Blind Spot? Or what was it called? What was the show that she was on where she had all the tattoos on her body?
Yeah,
or whatever?
Blind Spot, yeah.
Blind Spot. I watched the first season of that. It was really good.
Take your word for it. I never got a chance to see it.
Oh, I'm surprised you never saw that, Alexis. You see everything.
I see everything now because Mark forces me to.
That's why I figured you probably saw it.
No, I wasn't working for Mark when that show came on.
Oh.
No, it was good to see her back. I just thought it funny. The thing that pissed her off the most was that Loki cut her hair in her sleeve. That is so juvenile. I mean, my cousins did that to each other all the time growing up. That was like the ultimate prank, sneaking in at night, cutting off your cousin or your sister's ponytail or something. Everyone I knew did that to each other as a kid. And I love the idea that, yeah, he did that to her when they're, well, as guardians age differently, but they're adults. And he cut off her hair and was like, I thought it was funny. I'm like, how freaking immature are you, Loki? My God. That was great.
What are your thoughts on that scene, Jeff?
It's honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm still a little bit confused about all that. Like, just because, again, I don't know. I really need to watch these episodes more than once. I have to. Like, that's the only way for me to really feel like I really totally get the whole gist every time of, like, exactly what's going on, like all the different twists and turns. So, that's on me. Like, I need to make sure that I, like, watch the show twice before I come on and do these shows. It's funny because I do Loki reviews outside of the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Like, I go on the Podcast of Champions, like, on the weekends, and I do another review then. And, like, I review, like, Loki on Stereo app. Which, just to point out, folks, like those of you who don't know, the MCU's Bleeding Edge is on Stereo app, which is a live podcasting platform. And Cyber and I actually teamed up and did a show last night, like early in the morning at like 2 a.m. And we went for like an hour and a half, and it was a great show. I'm probably going to actually like upload it to our Anchor podcast today or tonight, just because it was such a great show. I want to like get it out there. But yeah, like seriously, check out Stereo app because it's really cool. Cyber and I are on there. I'm on there all the time. I'm doing shows on there like basically every other day. Talking MCU, talking DCU, talking Snyder Cut still, because I just finished watching it like last week. That's right. Like, it took me that long. But you can blame Zack Snyder for that, just because, like, hey, I can't watch 4.5 hours in one shot. So, that's just me. But anyways, like, I'm still confused. As far as Lady Sif goes, I know they explained it like in the episode, like why she like was there or whatever, like where she came from or whatever. I guess she was like a different timelines Lady Sif or something like that or whatever that they brought in, or from the timeline that Loki's not a part of, or that, like, you know what I mean? That, like, so I'm still just.
Well, I don't think she was real. I think
she wasn't real.
No,
No.
I don't think so. It wouldn't surprise me if she was just like a hard light hologram, for a lack of better words, and they were just able to probe through Loki's mind. I mean, they have a complete record of everything he's ever said or done. They probably just had that memory on standby, and they programmed in this scenario because they knew it would bother him. But yeah, I don't think it was I don't think Sif was real.
No.
Well-
Mobius even said, he's like, "Oh, this is your punishment." He's like, "This is the reality of a time loop, basically,
Oh,
and that you are being punished this way, and that we're trying to get you to break down so that you'll answer his questions." So that's basically what that scene was all about, was to break down Loki to get him to talk.
that's
And
right.
so
Because he did say, he said earlier in the show, he said, "I'll say anything or do anything I have to." You know what I mean? Like basically to Loki, you know, like to get him to do what he wants him to do. So I'm glad you guys like pointed that out to me, because now I understand better what actually happened. I wasn't, like I said when I first like answered the question, I was still confused as to like what exactly where that came from. Like it kind of shocked me. I was like, I did not expect to see her of all people popping up in this series. Like, you know what I mean? I thought it was great fan service though for her to pop up, just because like Alexa said, and like Cyber said, we haven't seen her in a while. So like, you know, like at that point of all the characters for them to throw in there, I guess it made sense to like use her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because she's part of, Loki's been around since Thor.
Yeah.
And he's a part of Asgard, and she's a part of Asgard. So, yeah, having that character would be smart in the series. We have more comments in the comments section here from a new person named Word789. He thinks Alligator Loki is behind it all, which is a fantastic theory. And,
yeah, maybe we should go ahead and talk about the that post-credits scene.
And then he says, "Oh yeah, that's not actually the real Sif, and it's just a projection. It's literally a time cell to torture Loki," which is just what we kind of explained what it was, and that's very accurate. And then David R says it was Miss Minutes getting revenge for his desk attack. That's
oh
hilarious.
my god! What if they do a twist that it's Miss Minutes who's the bad guy behind
That's
this
what
whole thing?
that's what
That
Earth
would be
was saying.
hilarious.
Yeah,
all fear, Tara Strong.
Just so you know what I'm talking about, Alexis. When I say Earth, I'm talking about another MCU host on Stereo app, like that like I've collaborated with before,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also a fan and a supporter of the MCU's Bleeding Edge.
Yeah.
I think Jeff froze.
Did you freeze, Jeff?
He either froze or he's getting beat. He's holding for a very dramatic moment.
No, I think you froze. Yeah.
Well,
Poor Jeff.
what is with this video? This video has been plagued.
Wow,
so
yeah,
many
this is
problems.
our worst one I've seen happen. Wow. So yeah, I mean, this is all.
I blame
very
the fact that I had
interesting.
locked my dogs upstairs. I think you bring the dogs downstairs and let them bark, everything goes back to normal.
Maybe. So yeah, I mean, so everyone watching, thank you for watching through all this dramatic, wonderful, crazy technical problems. We want to thank you for watching this stuff. But just to kind of continue on, so like after that whole scene, he goes back and he starts talking to Mobius, and he basically talks to Mobius and says, TVA is all a lie, all this kind of stuff, and you can see kind of in Mobius's mind, he is, he's like kind of starting to contemplate what's going on here. Is this real? Am I really a variant? What's going on? And so we see that as after he gets put back into the torture cell, he comes in and says, we need to work together to figure out what's going on, because he basically, after having the conversation with the judge gal,
Ravonna, yeah.
Ravonna, I always forget her name. I have a hardest time remembering her name. Ravonna.
I keep screwing up and wanting to say Ravenclaw, okay? I'm blending my medias.
Yes. I want to say Ravenclaw sometimes too when I think of her name. But when they have the conversation and he steals her like door opener thingy, and
The time pad, yeah.
the time pad, then we get to see that little message about C20. So I was like watching that C20 thing and her saying, those were actual memories. I thought that was a really interesting thing, showing that yes, the TVA isn't all what it's up to. And I thought it was very interesting that,
You You've got to be kidding me. Everyone else got cut? What happened? I'm not hosting the show on my own tonight, guys. I hope you know that. Oh, okay. I just got a message from Jeff. They had a power surge and lost Wi-Fi for a minute. I guess I'll hold things down for a few minutes. Hang on, I'm going to text her. It's like, okay, it's literally just me. I'm left. So, folks, I'm sorry that we've had so many horrible technical difficulties with this show tonight. This, yes, David R. We will be back in a Jingleheimer jiffy. I like that. You know, I'm talking with the guys. We're hopefully getting this fixed up here. It's like something. I'm literally holding up the fort. Okay, Cyber, do you want me to keep talking and try to entertain? Can't spell. All right. So one of the things, if you guys want me to keep talking, I will. Looks like Jeff's trying to fix everything here. I don't know exactly what's going on with Cyber. You know, one of the things that I caught when we're talking about Mobius figuring things out is there was a moment that I thought actually really brought in, because at first it appears Mobius does not believe him. He goes, one last lie from the God of Mischief. What do you got? And he's like, the TVA's line to you is like, yeah, get lost. But then when he talks to Hunter B-15 and he says, Loki said that we're all variants, and it's clear that hits B-15 because she saw her previous life when Enchantress kind of scrambled her memories a little bit when she took her over. And I think that Mobius kind of sees that hesitation in her. And I think that's what gets him to start wondering, maybe Loki was telling the truth. I genuinely don't believe he was. Okay, good. I've been holding down the fort talking about my theories with Mobius and B-15 for the last few minutes.
Thank you for jumping in there like that. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
I'm not a solo act, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, that hour thing you were talking about, I keep trying to figure out how to fix that, and it's not. I can't find anywhere where it says the cutoff after an hour. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it has to do with the fact I'm using an iPad or what. But I've tried fixing it, but it doesn't work.
What are you talking about, Cyber?
Every hour, I get cut off and I get booted off, and I have to come back in.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it keeps doing that, and there's no setting or anything that says, about screen time or anything like that on streaming or whatever, and so it's I'm still trying to figure out why it keeps booting me.
Well, I've just been sitting here talking about my theory about the scene between Mobius and B-15 when he mentions that Loki told him that they're all liar, or that they're all variants, and B-15's reaction, and I felt that was what triggered Mobius to maybe believe that Loki was telling the truth, because when he first kicked him into the time cell, it's like he really didn't care and really didn't believe him. But that moment where she clearly is thinking back on when her brain was scrambled by the Enchantress and she's remembering that memory, I feel that is what triggers Mobius to switch his time pad with Ravana's to try to, it's like, wait, maybe there is something to this. And just credit the scene with Owen Wilson when he talks about, it's like, maybe I had a jet ski, because he had previously mentioned how great those were. that was a really great scene that he was just saying that he knew that the pruning was coming. He knew he was about to die. And he's just going, you know what? I bet I had a really good life.
Yep. I thought that was a big shock. All of a sudden, like Mobius being disintegrated.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we had no idea, like, what happens to them. Are they being killed? What's going on? I mean, all we know is that it's called what it's called, and that, basically they vanish. And so I literally was sitting there watching, and all of a sudden that happened. I was like,
yeah, I was not.
What?
I know we only have 2 episodes left, but I was not expecting them to kill off Mobius.
No, I wasn't either. No, I lost the chat, guys.
Oh.
I don't know what's going on with it. Can you see the comment section?
Yes.
You can? Okay.
Has it not updated? Because the last I have is David R. saying we'll be back in a Jingleheimer jiffy, which I gave him a shout out to. That was funny.
Yeah.
But no one else has commented in the last few minutes. So.
Well, thank you. As long as you guys can see it, because I can't see it on my screen. But Alexis, just so you know, David is from Sakar that I was telling you about the other day.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, maybe I was saying, like, if you want, like, I could go on there and get you an invite or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a message board, like for like geeks, basically, like, so I figured you'd fit right in there. They talk about like Star Wars and the MCU and DCU and stuff like that. And I'm sure that like, I know that you already have a full boat and everything going on with like your schedule, but I was going to say, I'm sure they'd love to have you on the podcast of champions sometime, like they could use some female presence like on the show,
Yeah, no, I'd love to join. I'm just still trying to figure out my schedule. And right now I'm trying to find out, because I can't get a clear answer, if it's better to stay, when you go to Disney World, if to stay at an official Disney World resort so you don't have to drive, or if it's better just to take an Uber.
I think it's better to take an Uber. It's cheaper.
Okay, because
the Disney resort is expensive.
Yeah, no, I'm working MegaCon in Orlando in August, and I've decided, I was supposed to do this last April before the world ended, and I wanted to go down for an extra week to see Disney World, because I have not taken a vacation in, I don't know how long. But yeah, I'm trying to book it, and it's like, well, I don't really want to stay at any of these resorts, but there's some really nice hotels that I can stay at that I'd rather put my money at, and I can get a good all-inclusive package. So, because I mean, either way, I know, don't drive to the parks. Parking is...
They have shuttles and stuff like that, too. A lot of those hotels that you probably are looking at, like, a lot of them have shuttles.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I ended up in a time cell, it would be parking at Disney World. That would be my punishment.
It's doable, but it's rough.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's expensive.
David R. says in the comments, they should have given him a final line of "Wow."
I love that. That's really good.
Yeah, that's good. That is good.
That's hilarious. So yeah, Jeff, what you missed a little bit, we were talking about that scene between Mobius and Raven. Raven. See, there we go, Ravenclaw. Ravana. And how
that's one of the jokes you missed, Jeff. We joked about how we keep wanting to call Ravana Ravenclaw because our fandoms are bleeding over.
Oh, okay.
And
when I hear Raven, I think of Raven from the Teen Titans.
Yeah, so we were talking a little bit about just that situation, how it kind of like opened Mobius's mind and him to basically go and talk to Loki and say, hey, are you telling me the truth? And let's work together and do this. And then that's when, unfortunately, we find out that Mobius gets disintegrated.
I almost kind of feel like that was almost like something that like where I wasn't surprised, like when Owen Wilson's character Mobius like wakes up and actually like decides to trust Loki, or like at least like not trust him, but at least like investigate like his claims. You know what I mean? Like I felt like. Really, like, I mean, I have to believe that. Look, if Loki got like if Loki got pruned, and like he managed to somehow be somewhere else alive, like there in that mid-credits scene, then at that point, I'm wondering if maybe like Owen Wilson's character is the same way. Like he's not actually dead; he's just like somewhere else or something like that, or like just because, back to like what Alexis was talking about. I feel like it makes no sense to me that they would take Owen Wilson out of the show with 2 episodes left. You know, like, especially after like him and Loki already developed such a solid rapport and everything, like Tom Hiddleston, Owen Wilson during the series, for them to just like lose that whole dynamic to the show would be like, it wouldn't be catastrophic or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I have a really strong feeling that whatever they do with episode 5 and 6, we're all going to be happy. Like, I don't think we're going to be let down. But I will say that, like, I just want to make the point that, like, I have noticed some chatter from some other MCU fans out there that there were people out there who were very disappointed with episode 3. Like, now that we have a chance to kind of like, you know, listen to some different opinions and everything, like from the last review, like, Alexis, just so you know, when we did episode 3, I enjoyed it. I really thought it was great. Just as an aside from like episode 4, I thought it was great. Like, I liked what they did with it. But there is like a sense where there's a lot of people who are actually very unhappy with it. Like, they feel like the story wasn't well done. It was convoluted. You know what I mean? Like it made no sense. A lot of people thought that like Loki was enchanted, like during the episode, and like that's why like things were kind of weird or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, like I just wanted to bring that up. That like I know that Cyber, I know you liked episode 3. I know I liked episode 3. Alexis, I'm assuming you did.
I did, especially since episode 3 had one of my favorite tropes in it. The action scene that is filmed to look like it was done entirely in one take. You get that scene in the end with Sylvie and Loki running through the town, trying to avoid all the destruction, trying to avoid whatever that planet's version of the police were, and get to the ship. And obviously, there was probably some cuts in there because there was quite a lot of CGI, but it was made to look like it was all done in one shot. And I am a crazy huge fan of that style, especially in action movies. Been a big fan of when directors do that ever since Hitchcock gave us Rope. Criminally underrated classic, by the way. So I really did enjoy that ending. And I thought it was a good bit of character. I mean, I felt we needed to have more time with these two together to further understand their relationship and how things were going. Obviously, we were not going to get a, one episode and then all of a sudden they trust each other. They needed time together. And I like that. I even like the little bit where Loki says that he can't ride the train backwards. I know people who have that. I don't know if it's really a condition or anything, but it's kind of an inner ear imbalance where their body does not react well because they're expecting when it's moving, they're expecting to go backwards, not forwards. And it really makes them sick. It leads to a lot of motion sickness. So even that, I thought that was like, that's actually an interesting little bit of character development. I could see it.
So Jeff, do you have any trailers that you would like to share? Or do you have the Rotten Tomatoes reviews up?
Well, give me 1 second and let me see what I have for trailers really quick, because I think I have one, but I'm not positive. So let me just look real quick.
Okay.
But basically, I just want to point out like why I'm kind of like throwing this together. That essentially, I feel like for me, the whole Loki series overall, like so far for the 4 episodes, has been really solid. Like I'm really enjoying it and everything. Like I feel like I'm definitely really excited to see. Like I don't know what to think. Like I mean, until I saw that mid-credits scene, I really had no idea what to expect. Like basically, like in terms of what's going to happen for the rest of the series with no Loki. You know, like I was kind of lost there for a minute. So I'm glad that Arch filled me in on that and told me exactly like, you know, to go and check out the mid-credit scene and everything and whatnot. But let me see real quick. Let me see if I do have something here for you.
Throughout my life, the 10 rings gave our family power. If you want them to be yours one day, you have to show me you are strong enough to carry them.
You are a product of all who came before you. The legacy of your family. You are your mother. And whether you like it or not, you are also your father.
told my men they wouldn't be able to kill you if they tried. Glad I was right.
He's just a criminal who murders people.
Be careful how you speak to me, boy.
I thought I could change my name, start a new life. But I could never escape his shadow.
My son, you can't run from your past.
Is this what you wanted?
You got this.
Thank you.
Jab, left foot, right hook. Woo!
What do you guys think? Was that Fing Fang Foom?
In the water scene, in the underwater scene, yeah, I think that is Ping Pang Foom.
Yeah, I love somebody pointing out, it's like, that's not what Abomination looked like in the last movie. It's like, well, yeah, because the guy who directed The Incredible Hulk said he didn't get the point of having the Abomination have the green skin and the fins and the scales and whatnot, because he said that makes no sense for the story arc. I get the feeling we're going to get a story, maybe a comment about how Blonsky decided to try juicing himself with something else in between The Incredible Hulk and this movie. And that's why he suddenly looks like he does.
Also, the director of The Incredible Hulk, he also wanted to use a lot more prosthetic costuming for the characters too in the film. So like with Hulk and Abomination, he wanted to use like that kind of stuff. That's another reason why the Abomination looked like he did in that first film as well. So this one looks like it's completely CGI. So, you know, they had a lot more liberty to work with. And so I think that's why probably Abomination looks a little better in this, because I honestly think he looks so much better.
He looks more comic book like relatable now.
Oh, yeah.
This is how he looks in the comics. So like I think I like it personally. I think that scene where you see him like kick Wong or whatever, or like punch him or whatever, is awesome. Like you see Wong fly up against the the screen. I think that's Madripoor. That's my take on that. Like I think that's Madripoor. It makes sense that the Mandarin would like have a base of operations out of Madripoor based on like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You would just expect it, kind of, like he's a criminal, mastermind, underworld, guy or whatever. So you'd think that of course he would like have something to do with Madripoor. But I don't know. I saw the first Shang-Chi trailer. I'm sure you guys did too. I feel like this one for me really did more for me for the film. Like I don't know. I didn't like the comedic angles that they dropped in the first trailer that much. I like Awkwafina. I think she's funny. But I love the pace of that new trailer. And I love seeing the 10 rings. The way they're doing the 10 rings in this movie is sick.
Yeah, that is such a great idea. Instead of just making it 10 rings on each finger, which frankly has never been that practical. I speak as a jewelry maker.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of it being the martial arts training rings. I was like, that is just a little bit of brilliance right there.
Oh, yeah. And it looks great when you see him using it too, the Mandarin, like in the different time periods that they show. I love those flashbacks that they put together, like in the movie, where you see them, I guess, going back to different time periods throughout, like the the Mandarin's life or whatever. I love the seeing Death Dealer in the trailer too. That was really cool. I love that character. I'm glad they brought him in. But I'm really I'm interested. I think that I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like I think there's a lot more movie left to see. Like I don't think they gave us all of the best parts of the film in the trailers at all.
Oh, absolutely. I still don't really know what most of the plot is about. Was really cool seeing what's his name, Razor Fist in that trailer. That was a cool effect.
Oh yeah, and I love the actor who's playing Shang-Chi too.
Yeah,
he looks good. He's definitely in good shape without question. There's no question about that. Yeah, basically, I mean, I feel like I don't know. I've heard a lot of different opinions already so far. A lot of people are really high on that trailer, and they're really high on Shang-Chi. Me and Cyber had a conversation on Shang-Chi last night, or this morning actually. Let me be realistic there, and we talked a lot about it. And we're both really excited. I think, right? You are, Cyber, right? You. I don't know how you feel about it, but don't you? I mean, I know I'm feeling kind of like, for me, Shang-Chi is basically the movie I want to see for the MCU right now, at least in the next like couple movies.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last night on Stereo, I think that Shang-Chi is going to be the bells of the balls of this year's Marvel films. I think it's going to outdo Black Widow. I think it's going to outdo Eternals, and I think it's going to outdo Spider-Man even 3. I think that this is the one that's really going to really recatapult Marvel into the MCU back to where it was before the pandemic. That film just alone, because of how much it has to do with bringing in the mystic arts more to the MCU and the MCU fans and so forth like that, having to do with Doctor Strange and so forth. That I just feel is a area that they really haven't done much except for the Doctor Strange film. That's really going to pull in the people because they're really looking forward to learning more about the mystic arts and all that stuff, because we've explored space, we've explored the Infinity Stones, we've done all that kind of stuff in the Marvel so far. So this is something completely new that is probably gonna entice people, and it's gonna want to make them want to learn more about the MCU, not just watching movies but also through the comics. And I feel that's what Shang-Chi is gonna do for this year of Marvel films.
I think that that's a good point because it connects to what I was talking about earlier, where I was just mentioning that, like, when it boils down to it, I feel like not all MCU fans, but a lot of them really are active, at least online. If they're not reading the comics, at least they're like online, or they're on like Marvel, whatever it's called, Plus or whatever it is, like Cyber, that like we go on there, like, and they're actually are like, doing their homework about who these characters are. Because I mean, unless you do put that time in, you're not going to know who Shang-Chi really is. Like, he's not like one of the most popular Marvel comic book characters out there. So I definitely feel like, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's pretty much tied for me, Cyber. Like, I have to remember that Doctor Strange 2 is coming out. I forget about that. That is something I'm really excited for. I really am. I feel like the MCU is definitely going in a different direction, like with that movie, and we'll see what happens. I think that there's a lot of pressure for them to like really be successful with that film. Obviously we're going to see the Spider-Man trailer, hopefully maybe next week or something like that. So
they're supposed to release it with Black Widow.
Oh, really?
Yes, Black Widow's supposed to have it in front of it.
That makes sense. That's great then. So when I go see Black Widow, like a week and a half from now or whatever, I'll get to finally see the Spider-Man trailer, which will be great. I'm really excited for that. I can't wait to see what they end up putting out for that.
Yeah, most definitely. David R. has made a couple other comments here. He said, no, not FFF is in that image. We may still get him, but that shouldn't be him. So he's saying, I guess he doesn't think that's Fing Fang Foom, as the name goes. He thinks that that's not him, and he also said the dragon is known as the Great Protector. So I'm not familiar with the comics at all, so I mean, he's got a valid point there. It could not be him. It could be him. I thought that was kind of interesting that he mentioned that that it wasn't supposedly him.
Here, I'm going to take a look for the Great Protector here. Let's see what I can find.
Yeah.
Great Protector, Marvel. Yeah, looks like that's what it is. So
it looks like Fing Fang Foom to me, and it would make sense.
Well, let's be honest. When you're a Marvel fan, nearly every dragon looks like Fing Fang Foom.
That's true.
I'm not trying to be like Dragonist or something like that. So, yeah, it looks like everyone's saying it's. Oh, wait a minute. This could be a setup for Atlantis.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, although from a time standpoint, I don't see how that's possible because, like, if anything, I think we're going to see Atlantis in the Eternals film because they're going to the Eternals film is going to cover the grand apocalypse or whatever you want to call it from like the early years of the MCU 616 universe, where Atlantis was sunk into like, into the ocean or whatever, the Great Cataclysm, they call it.
But yeah, the Great Protector, in the Marvel Comics, Atlantis is watched over by an enormous guardian dragon. So maybe this is our first hint towards Namor.
Well, we know Namor is going to be coming in Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever.
I know we can't do it anymore, but I was so hoping that we could do the Two Kings story arc, but I'm really hoping, since they're going to make Shuri the new Black Panther, I'm really hoping they still find a way to make that work. Because if they can find a way to do that, and they can bring in Doctor Doom, I will be so happy.
I'm with you. I was, when I've heard the rumors, I'm sure Cyber, you've heard them too, that they might throw Doctor Doom in the mix in Black Panther 2. I wish they would, to be honest with you. I think we're ready for Doom. I don't think I don't think you need the Fantastic Four to do Doctor Doom.
Well, Fantastic Four has been confirmed, but this has been the biggest problem. Well, one of the biggest problems with the Fox's Fantastic Four movies. You need to establish Doctor Doom first.
Yes.
They need to do it very similar to what they did with Ulysses Claw before they brought him in for Black Panther. That was a really smart move. Do something similar with Doom.
Yeah, like do a Disney Plus series with him or something like that, and like actually introduce his character like as a child or whatever, so that you find out about his mother and you learn how like she taught him sorcery, and you know what I mean. Like I think there's a lot. I think you're right. I think that not only that, but like Fox didn't do a very good job with Doctor Doom as far as I'm concerned.
Fox didn't do a good job with any of the Fantastic Four movies. I think we can all agree
might have
on
a bone to pick with you on that. I don't know.
So my understanding is, I've heard rumors, I've seen articles and stuff like that their plan is to bring in Doom into Black Panther 2. That's what I keep hearing, and that's how they're kind of their catalyst into bringing in the Fantastic Four. That in one of the if when they decide to do a third Black Panther, that's when they're going to reintroduce the Fantastic Four, because they're going to have Doom established as the bad guy in the third Black Panther film, and then they're going to introduce the Fantastic Four coming over to try to help Wakanda deal with Doctor Doom. That's where a lot of people are saying that it could be leading to, but it's not 100% official. But that's how I think they're trying to remedy the whole concept of, a lot of people thinking that the Fox films were horrible. I mean, definitely the reboot they did in 2014, 2016, whatever it was, that was the biggest garbage of crap I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah.
The other two I thought weren't that bad. I liked them. I thought they were good. I thought they were fun. I liked all the people they selected. And I think it's hilarious that Chris Evans was the Human Torch before he became Captain America. But at the same time, I think that, Doom is definitely going to be coming soon, and that we're going to be seeing him so that they can start to move forward with making their Fantastic Four. Because, I mean, like you said, they have it in the timeline that they're making a Fantastic Four film, just not when. So I think that's probably going to be in Phase 5, which will be the next phase, of course, after this one. And they'll probably, one of the first films will probably be the Fantastic Four, I think, that we'll be getting in Phase 5.
Yeah, because we know we're getting it. Kevin Feige already released it when he did that, whatever you want to call it, that day that they had the Disney investors meeting or whatever it was, and he did that whole like long video, which I wish we could play that like during a stream, because that was so exciting when he did that.
Yeah,
like
I watched that whole meeting. It's like, this is how obsessed I am with pop culture. I actually volunteered for the Rattlegion Broadcasting Network to watch the whole thing and write down all the notes and then give back to the guys. It's like, okay, this is what they discussed. This is what they discussed. This is what they discussed. They did say that the Fantastic Four movie, I don't know if they said the exact release date, but they did say that it's directed by the same guy who's doing the Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. But yeah, the comic book I was talking about, are you guys familiar with Black Panther, The Two Kings?
I never read the comics. I never read the series, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, great book. And to keep it as short as possible, the idea is that Doctor Doom essentially tries to get Wakanda and Atlantis to destroy each other by setting up a rivalry between T'Challa and Namor, and then they realize, wait, Doom's actually the enemy, and they team up to go up against Latveria.
What I think is, I think it's very possible that could happen in Black Panther 2. Now,
I really hope they do.
I really do honestly think that there's a possible like a reality where that's the direction they go with Black Panther 2, because I feel like they could just cameo Doom. Like they don't even have to like really do it. They can just cameo him, and that would like for the fans it would be huge. And if he was the like kind of like the Mandarin type villain of the film, you know what I mean? That's like behind the scenes kind of, you know, and he like it would make sense if they're going to have Namor in it, which they've already said that they confirmed that basically that they are. At that point, I believe the way that they're going to play it out is that Namor is going to start off as like an anti-hero / like villain, like, and they're going to battle. Like, there's going to be like beef between Wakanda and Atlantis, and then you're going to see them team up by the end of the movie against like whatever underboss or whatever that Doom sends in to kind of like, you know, take over. Like, you know what I mean? Because like ultimately in the comics, Doom always wants to take over Wakanda. Like he wants the vibranium, you know, like which, you know, you can't blame him. But Cyber, do you want me to go into the Rotten Tomatoes reviews?
Certainly, sir.
Excellent. I've got some interesting ones here. Nice. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Right off the bat, from Jeffrey Lyles Movie Files, instantly stands out as one of the best episodes of any Disney Plus MCU series. What do you think, Alexis?
I could see it. The setup, the build-up, the reveal, and yeah, that mid-credits scene. This was definitely one of the better cliffhangers, and it really gets your attention. This is the kind of episode where you sit there and you go, I'm so glad I started watching this show.
Yeah. What do you think, Cyber?
I would agree with that. I think, yeah, out of the 3 series that they put out, definitely Loki, I think, is the best so far. Definitely the most cohesive, I feel, that has pretty much kept, you know, from episode to episode, it's kept the storyline going very smoothly. And even with episode 3 not being my favorite of the all 4 episodes so far, even with that one, it still kept the story going really nicely and very smoothly as well. So, I mean, it definitely, out of the, you know, 3 series, I think, yeah, I would totally agree with that.
I would too. I feel like I definitely like so far for me. I've already mentioned it to like, you know, I said it to Arch earlier that we unfortunately lost earlier. So anyways, basically, I definitely feel like for me, long story short, I feel like Loki for me is like the standout series out of the 3 that have come out, at least so far. You know, we'll see what happens with episode 5 and 6, but so. Staying on like the positive end of things, from Herb Schreibner, Deseret News, Salt Lake City. It's just a wild 50-minute episode that will leave your jaw dropping. Seriously, I can't remember how many times my jaw literally dropped and how close I am to truly shedding a tear. I don't know about that. Like, I mean, it was a great episode, don't get me wrong, and I can't wait to watch it one more time and kind of fill in some gaps. But I don't know. My jaw wasn't dropping or anything like that. Although I do think there were some serious twists and turns. Losing Owen Wilson's character for a minute there, thinking that we lost Loki. You know, Ravonna kind of like, you know, turning out to be like the villain potentially. The timekeepers like ending up to being robots. There was definitely a lot that went on. I'll say that. What do you think, Cyber?
Yeah, it was definitely a huge roller coaster of stuff going on. I mean, you know, talking about the timekeepers, all of a sudden you're finding out that they're robots, you know, so who, like, just like, you know, Lady Loki was saying, who the heck is really behind this? And Loki himself. Like, that's another great cliffhanger that they left this episode on, because, like, we're, like, sitting there, all this stuff happens, Mobius gets disintegrated, and then, you know, Loki, that happens to, you find out that they're robots, the things, and, you know, you got all this information just processing and then giving that little mid-credit scene showing that Loki is not dead and that he all of a sudden wakes up with other Lokis is just another great, kind of like Easter egg slash, info into that cliffhanger. So it's really great.
Like I said before we started the show, seeing Richard E. Grant, one of Hollywood's greatest scenery chewers, as I call him, in the classic Loki garb, the bright yellow and green with the giant horns. I was just like, it's like, and I am sated. That's all I needed right there.
And we saw Kid Loki. That was awesome. Kid Loki, finally.
And alligator Loki.
Yes, alligator Loki. That was seriously dope. And that was funny too. Was that David that said something earlier about alligator Loki was going to be like the villain of the show or whatever or something?
Yep.
That was funny. David's pretty funny, man. He really is. He cracks me up sometimes in the comment section. We appreciate you, David. Thanks a lot.
Yes, David, we do.
All right, so last review right here. So this one is actually pretty negative. So it's from Amet Asher Perrin from Tor.com. It's hard to be hopeful when all of these choices the show has made thus far are utterly pedestrian.
Pedestrian.
Yes. What's your reaction to that, Alexis?
I am struggling to think what, if any, from this series counts as pedestrian. And frankly, I think we've got another case of a reviewer who has decided I would rather use the big words to make myself sound smart. We joke about this on the Radulich, on Damn You Hollywood, on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. When we get reviewers, we do we review or discuss the Rotten Tomatoes as well, and we occasionally get these people who it's just like, you just love the sound of your own voice, don't you? And you just think you're so smart coming up with this review that frankly makes no sense whatsoever.
Oh yeah, and hats off to Mark, because like it was him that actually showed me the whole concept of doing the Rotten Tomatoes and everything. Mm-hmm. He does a much better job of doing them, I'm not gonna lie. So hats off to Mark. Like he's definitely like Mark. Hopefully we're gonna have Mark on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. He's gonna be on vacation, and then when he comes back, it should coincide right into where the Loki should be over, and we'll be back to doing Infinity Saga review shows for the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2. We'll be getting into Thor, and then we're going to be doing, of course, which is going to be like a huge major deal. We're going to be doing the Avengers, which is going to be like everybody's excited and wants to get on that one. Like, but you know what's interesting, honestly, is that more people have have gotten a hold of me and said they want to be on the Incredible Hulk than the Avengers. Believe it or not, like. That seems to be the one everybody wants to be on. Like Mark wants to do the Incredible Hulk. Arch wants to be on the Incredible Hulk.
Because they all want to bash it.
No, a lot of them like it.
Just wait till you get to Thor Ragnarok. That's the one that the guys I review with all hate.
Well, I like Thor Ragnarok.
I did too. And I occasionally like to drop little barbs about how much I love Taika Waititi into the network chat just because I know it's going to make a handful of them squirm.
I think Thor Ragnarok was a better film than Black Panther. And like people made it out Black Panther to be like the best thing that ever happened, but it wasn't really, like when it boils down, you know, like I get the cultural significance of everything. I respect it.
Sure.
You know, but like in terms of the film itself, it's a great movie. Don't get me wrong. I love Black Panther. But like it's not like, you know, it's not the best MCU film out there. That's just all I'm saying. Like there's better MCU films than Black Panther. I love Michael B. Jordan in it as the villain and everything. I think he was great.
Hey, credit to the MCU. They were able to
probably, but
say credit to the MCU. Like, they were able to revive
again
two
as far as the
Human
review
Torches.
goes. I definitely not know where this Emmett Asher Perrin is coming from. I don't know what country she lives in or whatever, but I definitely don't think the thing that's happened so far in Loki that I find that relates to the word pedestrian. If anything, like it's an edgy kind of show. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it kind of sets itself like very uniquely as a Disney Plus series. It's definitely like different than what we've already seen from the other Disney Plus shows, which is just the last comment I want to make that I think is interesting. And Cyber, you can tell me what you think, but I feel like there's a big difference between each Disney Plus series that we've gotten. Like they've really done a good job of like giving us a different angle, like you know what I mean, with the story and everything, and like you know, and like the visuals and everything. They've done a really great job of differentiating between each series, to where each one kind of fits into its own like category. You know, you got your
Yeah, most
sci-fi with
definitely.
Loki. You got your like Earth-based, like US-based story, like you know, like ground and pound, like you know, like hand-to-hand combat type stuff, and like you know, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And then you had WandaVision with like witches and warlocks and magic and like and stuff like that. So there's just been like a big separation there, which I guess knowing Marvel Studios doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I mean, all in all, out of each series, I totally agree that each of them is very different in their own way, and I think Marvel did that on purpose to really accentuate each one different from each other, so that each one had its own line to work with and to follow, so that people decided, like, oh, I get like this is the angle that WandaVision was, this is the angle what Winter Soldier and Falcon was, this is the angle what Loki is. So I think they're doing a good job of doing that and just keeping it going really well. And, like I said before, I think Loki definitely is the best of the series so far. Very much so.
Most
All right.
definitely. Yeah, let's get out of here, Cyber.
All right. So I want to thank everyone everybody in the comments. I want to thank everyone for coming in. Too bad we couldn't have Arch on longer. It was great having him when we did. It was great to have Alexis back and having her opinion on all the awesomeness of Loki episode 4. We appreciate having you, Alexis. It was great to have you on. Hope you have a great rest of your night. And, we enjoy everyone that has, watched our stream tonight. You guys are great and awesome. And we will catch you in the next one. We will be live for episode 5 next Wednesday. At the same time, 9:05 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:05 Pacific. And also, if you get a chance, definitely go to our website at the MCU'S and check out our website. We post, all kinds of cool stuff on there, too. Let you know about our upcoming videos and all that kind of cool stuff. So definitely check that out, too. Huge shout out to Sakar for, bringing us so many great people that are a part of our comment section, and just all the great people that are becoming a part of the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We want to thank you, and you guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time.